Welcome to Uncovering Mr. Right, an online communication for women only. A Voice Enterprises production. Hear his confessions, his secrets. Why do men cheat? Does marriage mean anything to him? Does men really desire a wife? Everything you want to know, but were afraid to ask. Thank you for tuning in to Uncovering Mr. Right.
Hi, this is Rici, Courtland, correspondent for Uncovering Mr. Right. I am here today with Lisa, and we are going to talk candidly about what it takes for a single woman who is looking for her Mr. Right. We want to know, we kind of want you to give us a playbook. What did you do? And how did you identify the man that you knew that you wanted to settle down with? Because, we are all kind of, and I'm saying we as in, the single girls, we're out here, we're discovering things, and we're kind of making up rules as we go. We try to play by the playbook our parents provided for us, and we take advice from our elders and our girlfriends and our sisters and our aunties, and many of them are unhappily married. So we want to talk to someone who is happily married and who has found the person that she wants to spend the rest of her life with. So I guess that my first question to you, Lisa, is how did you identify the qualities that you were looking for in the man that you wanted to settle down with?
Well, I think that people being respectful and valuing your opinion is very important. So I was in a former relationship for 20 years, married, and that ended. Had 4 children with that individual, and I found myself alone. Had the kids. We had joint shared custody, and I found myself alone for 3 years, and I had a long time to kind of think about the person I wanted to be with, and I just took some time. I ended up going on Match.com.
Okay.
And met Chris, and we met in a mutual location and had dinner, and then we parted separately, and then we met again in a mutual location and had dinner, and that night we went to a movie, but we drove in separate vehicles, and it was raining, and he ran to the car, and he opened my door for me, and he made sure that we got in, and to this day, almost 10 years later, he still opens the door for me. So I think it's important how he treats his mother. He's very respectful, and that's one of the most important qualities to me.
Okay, so your answer brings up 2 questions for me. The first is, I'm interested in knowing about the 3-year period that it took for you between the times when you were married and during your hiatus, I guess we'll call it. And the second question is your thoughts on online dating, because I know that a lot of people have a lot of hesitancy about trying the online dating sites. And so I want to talk about first, I guess the courage that it takes to go out, put yourself out there online, and then what kind of reactions did you get from like friends and family members when they found out that you were registered on an online dating site and were looking for people online?
So first question, 3 years. It took me a long time. For me, a relationship's very important. I think this day and age, some women are very relaxed with relationships, and they kind of go too far too quickly, and you don't really get to know people. So I think I needed some time alone, and I didn't really want to go to the bar scene. So I thought, okay, I'd heard about it, so let's look at it. I met a few people online, but of course you have conversations first on the computer and on the telephone, and it either clicks or it doesn't, and I just kind of got the opinion based on everything I was reading and the conversations that it would go okay. Safety is very important, so of course you want to to tell if you are going to meet somebody in a public place, where you're going, who you're meeting, you know, the time that you plan on going, the time that you plan on being home. So, and don't go in a vehicle with someone you don't know, right? That's very, very important. In terms of how my parents, you know, when my mother felt at the time, she was okay with it. She knew what was going on. My children, I talked to them, and they knew what was going on. And to your point about online, you have to be very, very, very careful, because identity right now is people can just take your picture and do anything with it. So you just got to be very cautious. And I could just tell by the way Chris treated me, and during our conversation at dinner and afterwards, that he was genuine.
So let me ask you about Chris's profile online. What was in his profile that separated him from the 3 million other guys on Match?
I know it's been a long time ago, but my recollection is, you have to put a lot of characteristics in, personality characteristics, age, background, work ethics, and just really just reading it and saying, okay, he's a lot like I am in terms of values. So that was the main thing for me.
Okay, so let's fast forward. Tell me what was different. What is different about Chris than your ex-husband?
Oh my, lots. So my ex-husband to this day is a taker, not a giver. So child support, even though we have joint share custody, alimony, I am always, he's always has his hand out, always, from majority of our marriage, even today still. And we've been separated for 13, well, divorced and separated for over 13 years. So, you know, it's the difference. And then Chris, on the other hand, he's very caring, he's very giving, he's very helpful. And, you know, he will come home, he'll share responsibilities. So he will come home and he'll cook dinner. I will do the dishes. On the weekend, he may do the weed whacking while I cut the grass, or he'll outline it. So we share responsibilities, right? We both work. It's more equal. And where my ex-husband didn't work for a lot of years, and so he was supposed to take care of housework and things like that, but I would work all day and I'd come home and I'd still have housework. So it wasn't a shared relationship. So I think that's the biggest thing.
Okay, so let's, I'm going to get a little more personal. So so I am here and I'm thinking the things that I am looking for are, how do I click initially? How attracted am I to this guy on the other side of the table? And how does his glance make me feel? Like, how does being in his presence make me feel? So I guess that my question for you is, when you are looking at somebody and you're talking about a long-term relationship, how do you qualify his traits or characteristics or that initial attraction versus somebody who might just be potential for a short-term relationship? And I'm saying short-term with the air quotes, a short-term relationship. Because I think that a lot of times for single women, we like the guys that we are attracted to. We like the ones who are fun to talk to on the phone and who takes us for these adventures for the first couple of weeks. What qualities are you looking for in the first couple of weeks that you won't know if he's sharing responsibility, if he's going to be cutting the grass on the weekends initially. So what are you looking for during those initial stages that you don't get a glimpse of, that you might be privy to in the long term case?
Patience with me. And the reason I say that is because, as I mentioned earlier, I was 20 years with the same person, and then I was 3 years by myself, basically. So for me, a kiss was huge, like making love, basically. So
that ain't my testimony, because a kiss just ain't that cute.
For me, after that time, it was long. It was just long for me. So it was a really big deal. Patience, 6 weeks before our first kiss. Right? Patience. I felt safe. He would hold my hand. He would lay and sleep by me. He was very patient with me. Till the time we had a conversation, and I said, well, if you want to kiss me, then you need to kiss me, and then I'll be fine. But I'm not going to make the first move, right? So for me, that was huge, and I respect him for that, and he respects me, I'm sure, as well, because I wasn't just kind of okay. It was just hard for me to really open up like that, because that's giving, just to me, it's huge.
Right. Okay, so my final question for you tonight is, how did you resolve whatever trust issues you had before your relationship with Chris? How did you get past the prior hurts, where you could be open to love the way that you had to be to find what you have now? Because I think that so many times we interject our previous relationships into what we're currently seeing, and it's kind of like, even though we might not be able to identify specifically with domestic violence, but in a real sense, it's kind of like being hit so many times that certain actions cause you to flinch. And so how did you get past flinching when certain things that you didn't like happened, so that you could stay long enough to work through those issues and get to the point where you could find a real love?
Well, that's a tough question. I think really just having an open and honest relationship and talking about things. And if you are uncomfortable about something, that you kind of raise that and discuss it as to, that made me uncomfortable for XYZ reason. And can we try it this way maybe next time? Or can we talk about it before we do this? And just really being open about how you feel. Or what you said the other day, I don't know if you realized it really hurt my feelings, or just really kind of being open about it. I think that's very important, and it's key. And then watching the reaction of the individual and how they react to what it is you're saying to them.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for your time. You provided a lot of insight for us. So tune in next time for the next segment on Uncovering.
If I've got the power and you got the power, then who's got the power? Everybody!
Thank you for tuning in for Uncovering Mr. Right. He Said, She Said with Rici, Courtland, and Latrina Davis. Thank you, and stay tuned for more of Uncovering Mr. Right.